Emotional pain is what drives us to engage in unhelpful coping behaviors. When you hurt, you do not want to feel that hurt, so you react to eliminate your emotional pain as quickly as you can. Yet your reactions don't get rid of your pain. In fact, they actually add to it. So despite your efforts, you can't get rid of painful emotions or negative thoughts. They will continue to endlessly pop up. So, how do you deal with painful emotions when they surface? Well, what I teach my clients and patients are some very useful strategies for accepting them. Yes, you heard me right. Accept painful emotions. Now, you're probably wondering, why in God's name would you want to accept them when they cause you such strife and pain? Because tolerating your emotions when you are faced with a situation that floods you with negative emotions is the only way to stop your dysfunctional behaviors during those times of emotional upset. So let me ask you, do you ever feel like you're spinning out of control? Do you immediately lash out at the person or people who triggered maybe that flood of negative emotions? Do you run away, avoid communication, and maybe have a few too many cocktails in an effort to forget? Does your mind stay focused on what happened, so much so that you withdraw? You can't focus on anything else, including work or personal relationships, and it's affecting your sleep. If you answered yes to any of those thinking prompts, good, because now I am going to share with you, from a neuroscience perspective, the three things that I believe keep your emotions going. Rumination, thinking about the same past experience over and over again. Avoidance, not facing the emotion and not accepting it for what it is. Emotion-driven behavior. These are behavioral reactions that are self-defeating and damage yourself and your relationships. So now that you know what's going on inside that brain of yours, I suspect you are already coming to the realization that these actions have not been working for you. Experiencing an emotion is a prompt to act. The key is to choose an action that won't make you feel worse or further exacerbate the situation or damage a relationship. I've said it before and I'll say it again, people. Pain is unavoidable. It is simply part of the human condition. However, pain's two-headed stepsister, suffering, is avoidable. And you absolutely can control when you experience suffering. If you choose to cope with pain by engaging in unhelpful or maladaptive coping behaviors, then you will just create suffering. The goal here is to learn to manage the pain using much more healthy actions. If you follow what I'm saying, I promise you will never experience suffering, and you can really eliminate it from your life. It truly is in your control. So now let's identify just two very simple and easy, but very helpful coping behaviors that you can use when you get triggered or feel overwhelmed by negative emotions. The first one falls into the bucket of distraction type activities. So, what qualifies as a distracting activity or practice? Any healthy pursuit that will divert you from the difficult emotions that you are experiencing. Doing something else, anything else in fact, than what you have been doing, instead of reacting to a core belief triggering event in the maladaptive ways you always have. This technique provides a window of time during which the intensity of the emotion is allowed to decrease and mitigate. It will be so much easier to make helpful choices when your negative feelings are much more manageable and you've created some distance, which time usually helps. Distracting activities are absolutely not about trying to avoid or escape these emotions. They are about following and allowing the fog to lift so you can see more clearly. Distraction is about keeping you safe in the moment by preventing behaviors that are unhealthy and ultimately unhelpful. Here are some suggestions for activities that you can use immediately to distract yourself from engaging in this maladaptive coping behavior when you become flooded with negative emotions. Do a 180. The idea here is that you are choosing a behavior that is the opposite of your automatic response to your negative thoughts and emotions. If every instinct you have is wrong, then the opposite would have to be right. I mean, doesn't that make sense? This new awareness will absolutely prove to be quite helpful, but it is so crucial that you remember when your emotions are running high. It is so easy to react in our old familiar ways. such as reacting impulsively or in ways that are pernicious and we later regret. And then we may lose sight of the alternative helpful behavior we're trying to ingrain. Exercising. Truly any form of exercise is going to be helpful. Exercise releases endorphins, which are a natural pain reliever and antidepressant that elevates mood and contributes to our overall well-being, which then decreases levels of cortisol, the hormone related to stress, and increases and maintains really good feelings of self-esteem. Additionally, exercise increases blood flow and oxygen to the brain and releases such chemicals as dopamine, glutamate, norepinephrine, and serotonin. It also increases growth factors that promote and help and create much more salubrious ways of behaving. In other words, you're not only distracting yourself from unhealthy or unhelpful behaviors, you're also engaging in a behavior that has positive physiological benefits. And that is what I base my entire practice on. Making changes to your brain that are enduring and quickly become your new default setting. I hope this gave you some ideas on how to stop this vicious cycle from happening again. As always, take what you love and toss the rest.